Pooh Shiesty. Fresh home from jail. Let's show you how you doing it. Maybach. You see that? Huh? You see the Maybach? Come here, man. Ferrari, man. You see that everything rose gold like that motherfucking, you see me? Everything rose gold, nigga. Everything. Everything rose gold. Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck going on?
Everything rose gold. You hear me?
All this shit, man. We don't play fair, man.
The Ferrari.
We do not play fair, man. You niggas in trouble, man.
On October 6, 2025, after serving nearly 4 years in federal custody, Lontrell Donnell Williams Jr. finally walked out of a halfway house as a free man. There was no big celebration or red carpet, just the Memphis air and the reality of the empire he'd built before his time was taken away. Naturally, the first thing everyone started asking about was the cars. See, when you come from Pooh Shiesty's background, growing up in South Memphis at the Cane Creek Apartments, with hand-me-down everything, rolling up in a rose gold Maybach is about much more than just showing off. It's a massive statement. Today, we're diving into every single vehicle in Pooh Shiesty's collection. We'll look at where they came from, their price tags, and what they actually represent. For a kid from the South Side, these machines carry a meaning that goes far beyond their cost. And as for that signature rose gold, we'll get into that too, because for him, that's not just a color, it's a whole philosophy. Let's dive in. To truly understand these cars, you first have to understand the man behind the wheel. Memphis, Tennessee, is one of the most musically rich, yet economically divided cities in America. It's the home of blues royalty and soul legends, with a trap scene that was bubbling long before the rest of the world caught on. 3-6 Mafia put the city on the map, and Yo Gotti carried that torch forward. Meanwhile, in the Cane Creek Apartments on the south side, a kid named Lontrell was taking it all in, absorbing every lyric, every beat, and every story of making it big. Born on November 8, 1999, Pooh Shiesty didn't grow up in a vacuum. Music was in his DNA. His father, known in Memphis as Mob Boss, was a rapper himself and the founder of Mob Tie Records. So, while other kids were just fans of the music, Lontrell was actually in the studio watching his father work. He saw firsthand how words turned into records, and how those records could eventually become a way out. But the journey wasn't easy. It never is when you come from his background. His family eventually relocated to Pflugerville, Texas, for a few years, a quiet suburb outside of Austin that was worlds away from South Memphis. It was a complete shift, and he had to adapt fast. New city, fresh faces, and a completely different energy. That kind of shift either breaks you or builds something inside you. For Shiesty, it built perspective and a serious hunger. When his mother eventually moved the family back to Memphis, Lontrell made a pact with himself. Put his head down, finish school, and then go all in on the music. He grinded through summer school and online classes just to secure his diploma. The moment he graduated, he picked up the microphone and never looked back. At 18 years old, the clock was officially ticking. He launched his own crew, Choppa Gang, and started freestyling everywhere, from school lunchrooms to neighborhood blocks, basically anywhere someone would listen. His early tracks like Hell Night with his brother Big 30 Shiesty Summer and Choppa Talk weren't polished industry records. They were raw, unfiltered stories from Memphis uploaded to YouTube and SoundCloud without any label support. There was no big machine pushing him, it was just him, and they exploded. Shiesty Summer cleared 1 million views independently, while Hell Night hit 6 million. This was organic heat. Real people were sharing the music because it sounded authentic. Because it was authentic. Then came the turning point. In April 2020, Gucci Mane, one of the most legendary figures in Atlanta's trap scene, slid into Pooh Shiesty's Instagram DMs after seeing Mane's slime on YouTube. The message was simple. "What's up, homie? I'm listening to your stuff. You're hard. Are you signed?" At first, Shiesty thought it was a fake, just a spam account or someone chasing clout. But it was the real deal. The two ended up FaceTiming for hours, and by the time they hung up, Pooh Shiesty was signed to the new 1017 Records under Atlantic. In just a few weeks, the kid from Southside's Cane Creek Apartments had a major label deal, a co-sign from one of the most respected names in rap, and a platform the entire country could see. He didn't let the opportunity go to waste. Back in Blood, featuring Lil Durk, dropped and immediately became a cultural phenomenon. It went platinum within 4 months, peaking at number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100 and hitting number 1 on Apple Music across all genres. On YouTube, the music video pulled in over 125 million views in less than 4 months. Then there was Beatbox by Spot'em Got'em. Shiesty hopped on the remix and it climbed to number 12 on the Hot 100. Marking his highest charting record at the time. In February 2021, his debut mixtape, Shiesty Season, entered the Billboard 200 at number 3 and hit number 1 on the top rap albums chart. At just 21 years old, he had gone from nothing to the top 3 in the country in less than 3 years. But right at the height of his success, the path took a sharp turn. In 2021, Pooh Shiesty was caught up in federal firearms conspiracy charges linked to a shooting incident in Bay Harbor Islands, Florida. By January 2022, he pleaded guilty, and in April of that year, he was sentenced to 5 years and 3 months in federal prison. He was only 22. At the very moment his career was peaking, he was gone. The car sat idle in the garage, the music was put on hold, and Memphis waited. Finally, in October 2025, nearly 4 years later, Pooh Shiesty stepped back out. Almost immediately, the internet got a look at what had been sitting there gathering dust while he was away. His first Instagram story after his release was a simple walkthrough of his garage, no caption necessary. The camera panned across 6 rose gold machines, every single car wrapped in that same signature blush metallic finish. It was a matching fleet so distinct and deliberate that it stopped the internet in its tracks. This wasn't random, it was a vision, and every car in that garage was a piece of it. You could hear him saying, "She's been collecting dust, man. We don't ride with no tags. I am the CEO." That's exactly what it felt like. A CEO returning to his company after a forced leave of absence. The business was still running, the assets were still there, and now the boss was back. So, let's get into it. 6 cars, 6 stories, and 1 rose gold garage that the south side of Memphis built. We start here because this next car carries the most history in the entire collection. Before the rose gold era, before the matching fleet, and before the Maybach, there was the McLaren. This car is famous for more than just its specs. Cast your mind back to 2020. Pooh Shiesty was at the peak of his early buzz, rolling through Florida in a lime green McLaren, one of the most eye-catching machines on the road. It was the kind of car people remember seeing, and the kind of car that eventually showed up in court documents. In fact, his own defense attorney referenced it in federal filings, arguing that a man driving a car worth over $200,000 wouldn't risk everything over a petty situation. That lime green McLaren became the ultimate symbol of that entire era. That was the peak moment right before everything shifted. Shiesty even wove it into his lyrics, rapping about his slime-coated McLaren and pushing its limits to see just how fast it could go. That car eventually became a piece of his mythology. Fast forward to the rose gold era, and the McLaren received a fresh coat. It's the same energy, but with a new identity, wrapped in that signature blush metallic finish to match the rest of the fleet. Now, McLaren produces some of the most technically impressive vehicles on the planet. Pure British engineering with Formula 1 DNA and carbon fiber throughout. Depending on the specific model, whether it's a 570S, a 720S, or something from their GT lineup, you're looking at a price tag anywhere from $200,000 to well over $300,000. With mid-engine layouts and twin-turbo V8s pumping out between 562 and over 700 horsepower, the driving experience is so raw it makes most other supercars feel tame by comparison. The McLaren in Pooh Shiesty's garage isn't just the most exciting car in the fleet. It's the one that has been there since the start. It's the survivor of his entire journey, which easily makes it the most significant piece of the collection. However, if the McLaren is the most important, the Mercedes-Maybach S680 is undoubtedly the most expensive. And it's not even a close contest. Let's be clear, this isn't just another Mercedes-Benz. The Maybach sub-brand sits high above the standard S-Class, which is already one of the most luxurious cars on the planet, and pushes everything to an entirely different level. It features an extended wheelbase, rear seat entertainment screens, and individual reclining seats that go nearly flat. From the panoramic glass roof to a fully handcrafted interior where every single stitch is intentional, it's the definition of opulence. It's powered by a twin-turbocharged V12 engine churning out 621 horsepower, moving this massive machine with a silence and smoothness that feels almost supernatural. While a base Mercedes-Maybach S680 starts around $200,000, Pooh Shiesty's $22 model is reported to have cost closer to $500,000 once fully spec'd and wrapped. That's $500,000 right there. As for the occasion, it was to celebrate FDO hitting #1 on the Billboard Hot R&B/Hip Hop Songs chart following his release. Just think about that for a second. The man comes home from federal prison, drops a track, hits the top of the charts, and buys a $500,000 rose gold Maybach to celebrate. Honestly, that is the most Pooh Shiesty thing ever. The Maybach is the kind of car you buy when you've moved past being just a rapper with money and entered a completely different league. This is old-world European luxury, the kind of vehicle used by heads of state and Fortune 500 CEOs. For a kid from South Memphis public housing to pull up in one at 25 years old, fresh out of a federal bid, is one of the most incredible flexes in recent rap history. And of course, it's wrapped in rose gold. Every car collection has a story, but not every car has a backstory as good as this next one. The Jeep Grand Cherokee Trackhawk. Pooh Shiesty didn't even buy this one. It was actually a gift from Gucci Mane on Gucci's own birthday. Let that sink in for a moment. On his own birthday, Gucci Mane pulled up and surprised Pooh Shiesty with a brand new Trackhawk. That represents a level of loyalty and respect in this industry that you rarely see. Usually, an artist signs to a label, gets a bit of a push, and that's the extent of the relationship. But for Gucci Mane to gift his artist a supercharged SUV on a night that was supposed to be about his own celebration, that tells you everything you need to know about the bond between those two. Now, let's break down what the Trackhawk actually is, because it deserves some serious respect on its own. Beyond the backstory, the Jeep Grand Cherokee Trackhawk is one of the most insane vehicles ever built by an American automaker. Jeep basically took a standard family SUV and dropped a 707 horsepower supercharged 6.2L Hemi V8 into it. The exact same engine you'll find in a Dodge Charger Hellcat. The result is an SUV that can hit 0 to 60 in just 3.5 seconds and clears a quarter mile in the low 11-second range. It's a vehicle that can tow a boat and then embarrass a Porsche at the next red light. It is beautifully, completely unhinged. With a starting price of around $90,000 when new, the Trackhawk is the kind of machine that car enthusiasts adore and casual observers can't believe actually exists. Wrapped in rose gold with that aggressive stance and all that power under the hood, this might actually be the most underrated car in the entire collection. The McLaren usually grabs the headlines, but this is a beast in its own right. The Maybach gets the gasps, but the Trackhawk, the one gifted by Gucci Mane, carries a weight that money alone simply can't buy. Now, we move to the crown jewel of the SUV segment, the Lamborghini Urus. If you want to talk about a vehicle that defined an entire era of rap car culture, the Urus is it. When Lamborghini first announced they were building an SUV, purists lost their minds. To them, a Lamborghini SUV sounded like a betrayal of everything the brand stood for. But then people actually drove it, and the conversation shifted instantly. It features a twin-turbocharged 4.0L V8 pushing 641 horsepower in its standard trim, hitting 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds with a top speed of just over 190 miles per hour. It's built on a platform more advanced than most supercars from a decade ago, with Lamborghini's aggressive design language stretched over a body that can actually fit passengers and luggage comfortably. With a base price starting around $230,000, it's the ultimate blend of performance and utility. And that's all before you even touch the options list, the custom work, and definitely before that rose gold wrap that ties it into the rest of Pooh Shiesty's fleet. The Urus has really become the definitive car for a specific generation of artists. It's not like the Bugatti's the older veterans flex. The Urus has a younger, more aggressive energy. It says, "I've made it, but I'm still moving." For Pooh Shiesty, whose entire brand is built on being both calculated and dangerous, refined yet raw, the Urus is a perfect fit. It's an Italian exotic that doesn't sacrifice practicality, a supercar you could actually live with. In rose gold, it's easily one of the most visually striking things you'll find in any garage in the world. This is where Pooh Shiesty's collection does something almost nobody else's does. He isn't just buying the past, he's buying the future. Enter the Tesla Cybertruck. When Elon Musk first unveiled it in 2019, the internet exploded. It looked like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. All sharp angles, flat panels, and a stainless steel exoskeleton that looked like it was cut with scissors. It was so polarizing that people either loved it or dismissed it as a joke, but once they started hitting the streets, the laughing stopped. The dual-motor Cybertruck puts out around 600 horsepower and can hit 0 to 60 in under 4.5 seconds. The tri-motor Cyberbeast version is even more insane, hitting 0 to 60 in just 2.6 seconds. All in a truck with a stainless steel body that can reportedly stop a 9mm round without it penetrating the exterior. With prices ranging from $80,000 to over $100,000 depending on the trim, the Cybertruck became one of the most sought-after and difficult vehicles to acquire in America, with waiting lists stretching for years. Now, here's the thing about wrapping a Cybertruck in rose gold. On paper, it shouldn't work. The vehicle was literally designed around its raw stainless steel finish, so wrapping it goes completely against its original aesthetic. But that's exactly why it works for Pooh Shiesty. He takes something that already makes a massive statement and pushes it even further. A rose gold Cybertruck says, "I don't follow the rules on how things are supposed to look. I have a vision, and everything in my world has to fit that vision." From a timeline perspective, the Cybertruck is also the most culturally significant car in his garage. You can't own one of these and stay stuck in the past. It's a vehicle that signals the next chapter is going to look nothing like what came before it. And for a man who just returned from federal prison with a #1 record and a $500,000 Maybach, that next chapter already looks very, very different. 6 cars, all rose gold, all distinct, and all pure Pooh Shiesty. Let's take a closer look at what this collection actually represents from a financial standpoint, because we want to give you the real picture, not the inflated version you often see on the internet. The McLaren is conservatively worth between $200,000 and $300,000 depending on the specific model. The Maybach S680 is reported at around $500,000. Then you have the Trackhawk, which sits between $90,000 and $110,000. And the Lamborghini Urus, ranging from $230,000 to $270,000. Finally, the Tesla Cybertruck adds another $80,000 to $100,000. On top of that, every single one of them is wrapped in a professional rose gold vinyl, which easily costs between $5,000 and $15,000 per vehicle for a high-quality job. Even before you account for modifications, custom rims, or any additional performance work, you're looking at a collection worth somewhere between $1.1 million and $1.3 million. Likely even more. And that is definitely no small feat. Before we wrap this up, we have to talk about the rose gold itself, because it's no accident. In fact, nothing about Pooh Shiesty's aesthetic is accidental. Rose gold occupies a very specific space. It's not the classic black or white that signals understated luxury, nor is it the loud chrome or candy paint of old-school rap excess. Rose gold is warm. It's bold, but not inherently aggressive. It feels expensive without being over the top about it. It's the color of high-end jewelry, specifically the kind worn by people with real wealth. When you wrap your entire fleet in rose gold, you're making a deliberate statement. You're saying, I have a vision, and everything in my world fits within it. You're saying, this isn't random, it's curated. And that's the part of Pooh Shiesty that casual observers often miss. He isn't just a rapper with some cars. He's a curator, from the Shiesty mask that became a fashion staple before it was a meme, to his music videos that feel like short films, to this garage. Here, 6 completely different vehicles, a British supercar, a German ultra-luxury sedan, an American Jeep, an Italian SUV, and a futuristic electric truck, all exist in perfect visual harmony because of one singular rose gold decision. That is a creative mind at work. This is someone who understands branding at its core. When you think in terms of a brand, you aren't just building a car collection, you're building an icon. There's a deeper layer to Pooh Shiesty's collection that most people miss while they're busy counting commas. These aren't just cars, they are a timeline. The McLaren represents 2020, the lime green era, and his massive breakout. It's the back in blood days, a rise that felt like it happened overnight but actually took years of grinding. This was the car so unforgettable it was literally cited in federal court. The Trackhawk represents brotherhood. It was Gucci Mane's birthday surprise, a gesture that solidified one of the most genuine artist-mentor relationships in recent rap history. That car carries a value money can't buy, because it was earned through loyalty. The Lamborghini Urus represents ambition, the constant drive to reach higher, never satisfied with what's already in the garage when there's room for something extraordinary. Then there's the Cybertruck, which represents the future. It's proof that Pooh Shiesty isn't looking back. He's already focused on the next chapter, how the story evolves, and what comes next. And finally, the Maybach, the $500,000 rose gold S680 he bought to celebrate his first number. One hit after returning home. That is the statement that ends every argument. It's the car that says they couldn't stop him. 3 years couldn't stop him, and federal charges couldn't stop him. I came home, dropped a record, hit #1 on Billboard, and pulled up in a $500,000 Maybach on the south side of Memphis. They used to ask me what I was going to be. Well, this is what I became. Pooh Shiesty is only 25 years old. He's already served federal time, topped the Billboard charts, and gifted the internet a rose gold garage reveal that shifted the culture for an entire week. He returned to a city that never stopped claiming him. His fan base never wavered, his music never stopped streaming, and that rose gold fleet never stopped existing. It just waited for its owner. The next chapter, and the music he creates now on the other side of everything he's endured, is going to be something entirely different. The man who began that federal sentence and the man who walked out are not the same person. The hunger is sharper, the focus is tighter, and the garage is still full. 6 rose gold machines. 6 chapters of a story that is still being written. That's not just a car collection. That's a legacy with horsepower.